Okay, so here's the first one. As you can see, let me step back a little bit. So the rest of them kind of go down the slope, and the new ones that I'm doing are going to be actually level with the ground. So it looks sort of funny right now by itself, but I think they're going to really, really look good when they're all level eventually. Okay, so this is the one that I made out of pressure treated lumber, the new pressure treated lumber that's safe. And then I'm going to also, the one next to it, I'm going to make with untreated lumber. It's going to be, the exact same size, 8x4, and the same height. I'm going to put them up in this corner so that they don't shade any of the other gardens. And then the other gardens, I think pretty much I'm just going to have pretty much the same depth that they are now. So those will be my deepest two gardens right there. But it didn't come out bad. Obviously, I'm going to need to, and the whole thing's level too. You can see I still got my level on there. But that's kind of important when you're going through, is you've got to level each side as you go. And then, now I threw this together today. I'm going to take it all apart again because I'm going to put up a layer of hardware cloth underneath it to keep the critters out. But the one good thing, I guess, about this hardware is it's pretty easy to just pull the boards up and just take this thing apart before you put the soil in. So once the hardware cloth should be coming in a day or two, we just ordered it. Got a pretty good deal on it from Amazon. And I'll just basically pull this apart, lay the hardware cloth down, and then just put it all back together. It's pretty easy. Be back later. Okay, it's not quite as easy as the as seen on TV home videos for these corners, but I've had this thing apart 3 times now. What I ended up doing in the end is I tried putting the hardware cloth and landscape fabric down first and then this on top of it, which is probably the right way to do it, and I just couldn't get it level. So what I ended up doing is finally leveling the garden, getting it right, and then I put the hardware cloth to keep the critters out and landscape fabric from the inside. I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to do it, but the important thing is that you want to get the ends of the garden level. So level all the way around, and then in my case I just went ahead and put the hardware cloth, which I used. I'll show you if you can see this. It's a 1/4 inch, or is that a 1/2 inch? I don't know. Anyway, there's not much that can get up through that, and then I've got the landscape fabric on top of it to keep roots and weeds down and everything. Okay, so now I'm starting on the second one. So this is the one with the untreated wood, and what you want to start off with is getting the first side in even. If I was really anal, I could have run a string, but I'm just kind of doing that by eye. And then level, get the bottom layer down level, which is what I'm working on now. And I'll be back in a little bit with the final product. Okay, I've got 3 out of the 17 done. So the 2 back here are a little bit higher, as I said. The one of them is pressure treated, the other one is untreated wood, so that's going to be my experiment, which I'm quite sure I'm going to regret, because I pretty much already know what's going to happen. And then I did one of the other gardens there. It's taken me a little bit longer than I thought, but it's still really not that hard in the grand scheme of things. And I've got a bunch of other ones that are kind of overgrown and falling apart. Some of them are perennials, and many of them are, for annual plants, but I've got over here some herbs, and I think there's sage and lavender over here. This is actually asparagus in here, so this is going to come back. I just cleaned it out a little bit today. And then these are blueberries. And then over here we got raspberries, and then over on the far side we've got grapes and an apple tree and some other annual gardens and herb gardens, which I'm going to fix all of these up at some point. You know, as I go through. I mean, it's just a little at a time until I get it done, but at least I'm hoping to have my annual gardens up and running by the time my greenhouse plants are ready to put in the ground. And these big two, I should be able to put in the radishes and the carrots pretty soon. Actually, they could go in now. I just need to get some soil. So as soon as I get that, they'll be going in. So that's a progress report on the raised garden project, but this is going to be ongoing. I imagine it's going to take me all summer to really get this place completely up and running. Thank you for watching. Okay, this may answer the question about what kind of wood they used before. I'm pulling out the old boards to replace them with the new boards. As you can see, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's termites. So it appears that they used untreated wood before, or else it's just so old that the termites finally decided they could eat it. So at any rate, I'm getting rid of all this wood and replacing it with the pressure treated wood, so I won't have this problem. But there you have it. Wasn't happy to see these guys, but I'm going to get rid of them. Two quick lessons learned. Let me show you really quick. So I'm reusing this old, kind of put together hardware. On the first garden, since I've never done this before and I didn't really admittedly know what I was doing, on a couple of the boards I screwed this on. On each board, they've got to be facing the same direction. So if you can see over there on the other end, I've got the ring down up there. Sorry about that. And here you'd have to have the ring going the same way. Now on a couple of boards I had reversed it, and then I had to go back and take it apart and put it back together. Doesn't matter which way they go on the board, as long as they're both going the same way, because you can always flip the board to get it going the way you want. But so that's one important lesson. And let me show you another one really quick. I'm working on the fourth garden right now. Okay, one thing is if you put the critter wire or the hardware cloth on from the inside like I did, which isn't the ideal way to do it, but it was just the way that I did it. If you put it on from the inside, cut it with a couple inches wider than the actual garden, so that what you can do is have it come up the side where you can staple it in with some staples. So otherwise the critters are going to be able to get around it. So you want to have the hardware fabric, I don't know if you can see this, coming up the side, and then you can staple it in. And then as you can see, I put the landscape fabric right on top of it, and then the garden soil is going to go on top of that, and it should keep the critters out. So those were just two quick lessons learned on this project so far. And I'm sure I'll have more. I'm going to come back with a wrap up on this last garden that but next garden that I'm doing. I've got the pieces together, and I'm just about to level it all out, get it dug in, and get this one completed too, so I can get myself a load of garden soil. Okay, we've got 6 of them done, and I've started to put some of my plants in, and only 12 more to go. Okay, here's progress on the raised gardens. I'm working on number 8 today. There's 18 of them. 7 of them I have done. A couple of the perennial gardens I'm not going to worry about right now. The asparagus, the blueberries, the raspberries. I'll do them last. So I'll be working on the 8th one today, but I've already gotten some of these up and running. So this one here is radishes and onions. You can see the radishes are coming out. The onions I put in onion sets, cheated. Radishes I did from seeds. This one over here is going to be lettuce and carrots. I don't see much going on yet. I think that might be the lettuce popping up right there amongst the weeds. Because I haven't done carrots in years, and I've never done lettuce, I'm almost afraid to weed this garden. It's pretty embarrassing. But at any rate, until I'm really sure what is coming up. Here I've got eggplants, and I got a couple sunflowers on the outside here, so they're to the north of everything because they will shade your plants. So, you know, the sun is that way. So the eggplants will be just fine. Got my cucumbers here. What I'm planning on doing is these cucumbers can go crazy, so that trellis won't be long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'll tie a couple of ropes to the deck up there and give them plenty of room to grow. And then over here I've got peas starting. You can see them. I started them from seed, and a couple of ant traps. And I've got my tomatoes. Got a couple more tomatoes over here. And then I've got cantaloupes. And then this is one of the herb gardens, sort of an herb garden. I've got my oregano, basil, and chives here. I also, just because I needed some room, I planted a couple of sweet peppers in here, just because I didn't have enough gardens up and running yet. So. And then I've got here, I have 2 summer squash zucchinis. These things get huge, so actually probably could have just put 1 in here in this half. They take up a lot of room. And then over here I've got my bush beans, and they're sprouting. As you can see, I'll have to thin them out a little bit, but they're sprouting. That mess over there is the garden I will be fixing today. And then future plans, as the summer goes on, I'll fix these perennial gardens. As you can see, they're kind of in poor shape too, but they're okay for now because these plants are established. But I'll fix these as I get time. Here's the asparagus. Look at that guy, he does not know his place growing outside of the garden. And then this mess over here are the rest of the gardens. I've got strawberries here. This one's not in bad shape. I'd like to make it a little bit bigger for the strawberry patch. And these gardens along the outside are all in really bad shape, but they'll all get repaired. And planning on doing 3 4x8 gardens this way, and I'll level them the same way that I did with these. And then in the middle here, my wife wants me to make a patio. So they kind of had a quasi sitting area here. But what I'm going to do, because this is sloped, I'm going to put in kind of a retaining wall and make a nice little, it'll be like an elevated patio area, with our little chimney and chairs, so we can sit out here and enjoy the garden. So that's the progress so far and the future plans. Thank you very much for watching.